From a neuroscience perspective, your brain has spent decades carving a deep paved highway for that lie. Every time you told yourself you weren't enough, you drove a metaphorical truck down that highway, paving it even deeper. You are not a finished product. You are a masterpiece still in the making. The world desperately needs women in midlife who have woken up to their own power, who have stopped apologizing for their wisdom, and who refuse to be sidelined. Midlife in Motion is the podcast for women who want to reclaim their metabolism, maintain their mobility, and recognize their divine worth. I'm your host, Angie Collingwood, fitness and yoga instructor, body confidence, and menopause coach. This show bridges the gap between science and soul. We move beyond quick fixes to discuss the real pillars of longevity. Get ready to start dancing into midlife. Hello and welcome. I'm so glad you're here with me today. What if the only thing standing between you and your most powerful chapter isn't your age, your energy, or your circumstances, but a story you've simply accepted as fact? Today, we are having a very honest conversation about the invisible ceiling we place over our lives in midlife. It's the feeling that you have hit your limit, that what you've accomplished so far is all you're going to be able to do, and it's too late to become someone new. The lies we keep believing, and your divine worth, an unshakable truth. So we don't wake up one morning and consciously decide to shrink. It happens because over decades, we have quietly internalized lies about what women in midlife are capable of. Today, we are going to expose how these lies take root, how to actively stop believing them, and how to step fully into the staggering truth of your actual potential. I want to take a moment to step away from the anatomy and the protocols and speak directly to your soul. I know with absolute certainty that you are valuable. I know that you have purpose, and I know that you are not only needed in this world, but you are also entirely necessary. And I know that you are loved. A lie usually doesn't feel malicious, it feels like protection. At some point in your life, you might have tried something brave and failed, or someone criticized your ambition, or society whispered that once you turn 40 or 50, you should quietly step back and let the younger generation take the wheel. Your brain, which is wired to keep you safe from rejection and failure, adopted those messages to protect you. It told you, don't go back to school, you won't succeed, or don't set that boundary, people will leave you. As we talked about before, a lie promises you safety, but it quietly steals your freedom. What kept you safe in your 20s or 30s is now the exact cage keeping you stuck in midlife. Your brain will gather evidence to support those lies that you're believing about yourself. It's doing its job to try to protect you, but it's also protecting you from a place of fear. If you are convinced you are not capable, your brain will find the evidence to support it. If you're convinced you'll fail, your brain will find the evidence. If you are convinced that you are no longer useful, your brain will find the evidence. But here is the amazing news. You can intentionally gather evidence for something different. You can empower your brain for a new perspective. Lies that shrink us. It is critical that we identify these false narratives because lies always shrink us. A lie about your worth makes you play small. A lie about failure makes you stop trying. A lie about rejection keeps you from connecting. A lie about trust keeps you from letting people in. We often adopt these beliefs as defense mechanisms, but over time, what started out as protection becomes a limitation. That is exactly what lies do. We aren't struggling in midlife because of what we don't know. We are struggling because we still believe something that isn't true. This is where the work begins. The work of learning how to recognize it. The awareness gives us a choice. It gives us the opportunity to finally surrender that heavy armor we've been carrying for years. The great capability lie. The biggest lie we believe in midlife is what I call the capability lie. It's the belief that our capacity to learn, build, create, or change peaked a decade ago. We look at the energy of our youth and mistake it for maximum potential. But that is absolutely not accurate. In your 20s and 30s, you are operating on raw energy and trial and error. But in midlife, you are operating on synthesized wisdom. Midlife is not the end of your capability, it is the refinement of it. You have decades of data on how human beings work, how to navigate a crisis, and how to endure. The truth is, you are actually more capable of executing a massive pivot or starting a new dream right now than you were at 25, because you have much more wisdom and knowledge than you did back then. Maybe it's time to finally question those lies you have been believing about yourself. Ask yourself right now, what have I been talking myself out of that would benefit me? What has my higher wisdom been inviting me to do that I haven't believed I could do? What negative story patterns about myself have I accepted as truth without questioning them? What evidence am I collecting that supports my fear-based belief versus my faith-based belief? The three-step framework to stop believing the lies. So in order to stop believing the stories that keep us small, we can't just think positive. We have to actively rewire our brains to gather new evidence. Here is a three-step process to dismantle a lie and find your truth. Step 1 is audit the internal dialogue. Catch that lie. Lies disguise themselves as practical facts. They sound like, I don't have the time, or I'm not a tech person, or I'm too tired to change. For the next 48 hours, I want you to carry around a mental clipboard. Every time you talk yourself out of an idea, a desire, or a boundary, catch it. Ask yourself, is this an absolute fact, or is this a fear dressed up as a fact? Step 2, cross-examine the evidence. Your brain is a lawyer. It will always find evidence to support whatever you are believing. If you believe you're incapable, your brain will show you a memory of that one time you failed back in 2012. You have to demand new evidence. Ask yourself, where is the evidence that I am capable? Have I ever done something hard before? Have I learned something completely new? Have I survived 100% of my worst days? Force your brain to look at your track record of resilience. Step 3, act in the opposite of the fear. You have to outact it. Confidence does not come before you take the leap. Confidence is the reward you get after you take the leap. To break a lie, you have to take one tiny micro action that proves the lie is wrong. If the lie says your voice doesn't matter, your action is to speak up in a meeting. If the lie says your body is broken, your action is to do 5 minutes of joyful movement and prove your body is alive. Action shatters the illusion. It shatters the lie. Rewiring the lies. The narratives we are fed about midlife are often incredibly toxic, leading women to internalize societal program as absolute truth. When these lies are repeated often enough by the media, the medical system, and even our own inner critics, they feel like facts, but they are completely false. To rewire these lies, we need to be aware of what they are and question their validity. Here are 5 of the most pervasive lies women believe about themselves in midlife, paired with the empowering reality you can use to correct them. Lie 1. My body is on a permanent downward slide. When the joints start aching, the middle thickens, or the pelvic floor leaks, women often believe their body is permanently failing. They lie to themselves that it's simply too late to get strong or heal. The reality, your body is not degrading, she is recalibrating. You are shifting away from a reproductive operating system into a longevity operating system. Muscle can absolutely be built in your 40s, 50s, and 60s. Pelvic floors can be rehabilitated. Joint pain can be managed. The rules of how you move and fuel your body have simply changed, but your biology's capacity to heal, adapt, and build strength is still fully intact. You can take steps to move and nourish your body from a place of joy and love. Start something new. Whether it's changing careers, writing a book, updating a relationship, or picking up a new athletic pursuit, many women believe that by 45 or 50, their trajectory is locked in. The lie is that the runway is too short to take off again. The reality, from a purely statistical standpoint, a woman at 50 likely has over a third of her life left to live. A third of her life. You haven't ran out of time. You have actually just finished gathering your data. When you pivot in midlife, you aren't starting from scratch. You are starting from experience. You have decades ahead of you, but now you are armed with boundary setting skills, emotional regulation, and a deeply honed intuition that you didn't have in your 20s. Take that first step, lie 3. My brain is failing and my mental sharpness is gone. Because brain fog and memory lapses are so startling during perimenopause, women often believe that they are losing their cognitive edge. The lie is that they can no longer handle complex tasks, lead teams, or learn new skills. The reality, your brain is highly neuroplastic. During perimenopause, the brain actually undergoes a massive structural rewiring process due to fluctuating estrogen levels. This buffering phase is temporary. Once you cross into postmenopause, the brain stabilizes. Studies show that midlife women are often superior at synthesizing complex information, reading emotional cues, and exercising high-level judgment. You aren't losing your mind. It is upgrading its processing power. Lie 4. My highest value was tied to my youth and my caregiving. This is the most insidious lie because society places a premium on young, fertile, and highly accommodating women. Midlife women often believe that their social currency and personal worth are expiring. The reality, conflating youth with value is a modern cultural invention. As your hormones shift, the drive to constantly tend and befriend naturally drops. This isn't a loss of your goodness. It is the birth of your boundaries. You are transitioning from the exhausting physical labor of nurturing others to the intellectual and spiritual labor of leading, mentoring, and finally prioritizing your own life. Take that chance, stand up for that important value, and lead others. You were born to be a leader. Lie 5. If I prioritize my needs now, I am being selfish. After decades of putting children, partners, family, and bosses first, women believe that suddenly demanding time, money, and space for their own health and desires is a character flaw. The reality, resourcing yourself is a necessity. You cannot manage the massive physical and emotional transition of midlife on a depleted battery. Setting boundaries, resting, going to physical therapy, or spending money on your nutrition is not a luxury. It is the fundamental maintenance required to be the CEO of your own health. Allow yourself the time to do some yoga or hire a coach to help you manage your health. And if you need some assistance in finding a coach, I am here for you. So, how long will it take? When you have believed a lie about your worth, your capability, or your body for 20, 30, or 40 years, it is completely natural to wonder, how long is this going to take to fix? I want to give you a very honest answer. It doesn't happen overnight, but it also doesn't take a lifetime. From a neuroscience perspective, your brain has spent decades carving a deep paved highway for that lie. Every time you told yourself you weren't enough, you drove a metaphorical truck down that highway, paving it even deeper. The truth right now is just a tiny little dirt path in the woods. But here is the truth. You don't wake up one magical Tuesday completely cured of your self-doubt. Instead, you experience a tipping point. This is a shift when your first thought is based on the truth of who you are, rather than the lie you've been fed. For the first few weeks, believing the truth will feel like a performance. You will say, I am capable, and your brain will say, No, we aren't. You will set a boundary and your hands will shake. It will return to the evidence you have gathered to support the lie. You will have to consciously force yourself to walk down that new dirt path every single day. But then, one day, usually a few months into this gentle daily practice, something shifts. You will face a challenge, or someone will criticize you, or you will look in the mirror and the very first thought in your head will not be the lie. Won't that be amazing? The first thought will be the truth about who you are, and you won't have to force it. It will just be there. That is the moment the dirt path becomes the highway. So give yourself grace. It might take a season to unlearn a lifetime of lies, but I promise you the freedom waiting for you on the other side of that season is worth every single step. And I am here to help you in taking those steps. The 3 phases of believing the truth. The first one is the friction phase. Believing the truth feels exhausting, fake, and highly uncomfortable. The brain is fighting back because it wants to return to the safety of the familiar lie. Second is the awareness phase. You still feel the lie, but now catch it instantly. You no longer spiral. You say, oh, there's that old story again, and you consciously pivot to the truth. Third is the tipping point. The new neural pathway is stronger than the old one. The truth becomes your default baseline. The lie still visits occasionally, but it feels like a stranger, not a roommate. This is where I can assist you in reframing those lies to help you find the truth and work through this process. The truth of your midlife power. When you strip away the lies, what is left? The stunning, undeniable truth of what you are capable of. The truth is, you are capable of unlearning decades of conditioning. You are capable of setting a boundary. You are capable of building physical strength in your muscles and your bones that you didn't have 10 years ago. You are capable of discovering a profound, intimate relationship with divinity. You are not a finished product. You are a masterpiece still in the making. The world desperately needs women in midlife who have woken up to their own power, who have stopped apologizing for their wisdom, and who refuse to be sidelined. Your power, your wisdom, and your actions are needed. You are necessary. There have been moments in my life, sometimes in a quiet religious setting, sometimes on my knees in prayer, meditation, and reflection, but always after a pouring out of my concerns of my heart in communion with the divine. Moments when I have felt something undeniable. I have felt a piercing, enveloping feeling of deep love and warmth travel straight into my soul, like a literal hug from the universe, from God, from my Creator, whispering, "You are loved." I haven't just felt that love for myself. I have felt that same divine love expanding outward for the people I care about, including you. And you too can open your heart to this feeling. You can take the time to understand your purpose and your divine worth. But to do that, it means that you have to cut out the voices that tell you otherwise. You know the ones I mean. The voices that constantly remind you of your mistakes. The ones that whisper that you are not good enough or that your time has passed. It is time to let go of the judgment of yourself and others. It is time to let go of the lies we have been led to believe. The lie that we are too old, that we must not be disciplined enough, that we are not capable. We have built our lives around lies and assumptions that we have not examined. And you have the skills to question those assumptions and begin to believe in yourself in a whole new way. It is time to pause, to connect, and to build your relationship with divinity. Allow yourself to feel cared for. When you do, you start to see not only your own worth, but the worth of all the amazing, resilient women standing all around you. It allows you to look in the mirror and feel deeply grateful for this specific season of your life life, grateful to be a woman, grateful to continue living, to continue aging, to continue progressing and learning. This is exactly why I feel so driven to share this message with you. This is why I put myself out there and do all of this, even though it has been a challenge. Even though, to be completely transparent with you, I haven't always wanted to share or put myself in the spotlight. It can be scary, but I know I have been called to do this. I know I am being spiritually led. Through this process of creating this podcast for you, I have felt so loved, valued, and appreciated by my creator. And just the other day, while I was preparing for this podcast, I had this sudden, beautiful aha moment. It hit me like a wave of warmth. I am important too. Wow, it really hit me and it enveloped my heart, letting me know that I am cared about and valued as an individual too. And I know you are as well. To feel connected to divinity, it helps to notice the small blessings. Personally, I keep a running list of little rays of light right in my phone's notes app. Cultivating gratitude for those micro moments is what has anchored me and allowed me to recognize the divine in the much larger moments of my life. I hold a deep divine hope for a better world, a world rooted in our true values, held by a divine creator who loves us, lifts us, and guides us through our transitions. I want to invite you into a conversation on 2 reflection questions. It's time for some deep soul reflection. What belief has been keeping you playing small? A belief keeping you from fulfilling your divine purpose. What is that belief keeping you playing small? The other one is, what could be possible if you stopped believing that lie and started believing a new empowering belief? How could you fulfill your purpose if you stop believing that lie? And I don't want these thoughts to just stay in your head. Speak out your truth. I would love to hear your breakthroughs. Join the conversation. Please share your thoughts in the comments or on Facebook. You can find me Midlife with Angie Collinwood, Instagram, angie.midlife.fitness, or Substack at Angie Collinwood, and the links will be in the show notes. When you speak your truth out loud, it doesn't just break the power over that lie over your life. It gives the women reading it the courage and the permission to do the exact same thing. Together, we can heal each other. Together, we can find the truth in ourselves and our worth. I want to leave you with one final question to carry with you this week. What is one thing you would do today if you knew the lie you've been believing wasn't true? If you knew you couldn't fail, if you knew you weren't too old, if you knew your worth was absolutely guaranteed, what would you do? And whatever just popped into your mind, that is your soul speaking. That is your divine capability tapping you on the shoulder. Don't ignore it. Listen, follow those promptings. Take one tiny step toward it today to fulfill your purpose. Thank you for being here, for trusting me, and for honoring your biology and your soul. You are so incredibly important. You are so deeply capable, and I am so honored to be walking this journey with you. You've got this, and I'll see you next time. You are building a foundation for the next 40+ years of your life, brick by brick, breath by breath. You are a miracle. Treat yourself like one. If you know a woman who needs to hear this, please share this episode and remember to subscribe. I'm Angie Collinwood. Keep moving and dancing. This is Midlife in Motion. I'll see you soon.